Either you will or you won't. See, now we know that what's going to happen. So either you will or you won't go. We know. Come on.
There's only two choices.
Yeah. It's a will or a won't. A will or a won't, a do or a don't. Home on the range. Good evening, my friends, compatriots, planetary dwellers. Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream meditation on the magic of the star tetrahedron, the mystical marriage of divine power, sacred love, which creates this geometry that is called the star tetrahedron. And it's from the geometry of light, which is a sixth dimensional frequency. This is where this particular geometry resides within the sixth dimension. And as this geometry spins, it literally then spins out the light consciousness that we then choose to illuminate within the void. And so the most interesting about it is we already are this symbol. We already are this geometry. We already exist within that sixth dimensional realm of pure light. And we wanted to create a way to see what we are. Because simply being geometry, you look at someone else and you think, well, you're a square. Not really. But there was really no form except for geometry. And so we devised a way for us to step down our energy and through the geometry of the star tetrahedron to then coalesce it into light and into image, almost like dream imaging from that sixth dimensional place, the choices of creation. And so we all got together and we, from that place of consciousness, we then created the dimensional worlds. We then learned how to evolve the physical forms within those worlds. And then we finally realized that we could then begin to get into the physical form through a brain that was now alive and conscious enough that we could literally now be alive within form. So we are six-dimensional beings of light within the worlds of form and using our five senses to taste, touch, smell, feel what we've created. And then we get locked and lost into believing, well, this is who I am, this is my body. But spirituality and our spiritual work is simply about unveiling. And that's what the word apocalypse means. It means to simply unveil or to reveal what is already there. And what is there is the perfection of the being that you already are, that is simply creating dimensional worlds to enjoy itself. The whole purpose of creation is simply joy. We are in often this old paradigm that we came through Pisces more into the false masculine. And we wouldn't necessarily call it false masculine because it's been a learning experience. It's been about using masculine to do, to make, to form, to create. And we've done somewhat of a very exciting job about that. Look at this marvelous dimensional world. But now it's time to evolve. And we've talked about this often, you and I together. And the way that we evolve is to train the mind now, which is the doer, to no longer be a doer, but a beer. And so we train the mind then to be silent and focused, which is true power. And we then bring forth the other complement of creation, the feminine, which is imagination and love and joy. And what we love and imagine, again, the two components, we love it, which we then, our love, we're holding attention upon it. I love this. We're not turning our attention away from it. I love this image. I love this feeling, but it simply is existing without any light. And that's when the masculine of divine mind, focusing light, simply then focuses light upon that image feeling, which we illuminate within the star tetrahedron. And then the geometry of the star tetrahedron, that which we are, spins it out into holographic light activation. The Ioma precipitates it into form, and then we get to see what I can be. Very beautiful. And what an exquisite world, what we can taste and touch, dolphins, sunset, hiking in mountains, the exquisiteness of food, sensuality. It just goes on and on. How beautiful. But because it's time to evolve into the new paradigm, Source, which we are, is seeking to create a way for us to stop. And by stopping, to begin to move into the new direction, which, as we also talked about, happened on December 31st of last year. We moved from out of the paradigm of Pisces into the paradigm of Aquarius, the feminine aspect of consciousness. And so now we are evolving into this new trajectory of the human divine form. And everything that is of the old paradigm is being destructured, is being broken down. Again, nothing wrong with it. But if we're not honing and refining ourselves to be in the new paradigm with our thoughts, our feelings, our love, and our consciousness, we're then going to be hit by some of this destructuring. our prosperity, our relationship issues, the emotions that we're then caught up in life, the feeling of things we dislike and judge. We're going to be again trapped in the old Piscean age. And again, it's pain and suffering. The new paradigm is not pain and suffering, it's joy, it's love, it's you're creating from magic, artists, really stepping into what we are, these six-dimensional beings, the geometry of light that we are, that says, now I know how to create. I've gone through the Piscean era, I've gone through all these other eons of development and form, and I've got it. I now understand it, and I'm honing and refining my mind to be focused. I'm really learning to love myself so profoundly. I don't have emotion or feelings of lack of self-worth. I can now step into the new paradigm. And because I feel joy and I feel prosperity and I feel love and goodness and grace, it simply then flows to me. No longer a doing. We don't sit around and do nothing. We go out there and we meet it and we focus and we play with it. I was thinking today in my life that I've become so much like a child. I was just sitting out in the sun on the back porch today, and I was watching the ants. And here they were, just busy as little beavers, going here and going there. And they would go by each other and they would touch each other. It's like they're waving at each other and saying hi. It was fascinating to watch this whole, very small, minuscule part of life unfolding. And it was magic. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And then I got to watch some hummingbirds flying around. And then I got to watch the fountain that we have a fountain, and in it there's it's a solar light, solar powered. I guess it's a solar powered fountain. Anyway, as it pulsed with the light, it would pulse down, and then it would send waves rippling out from the fountain. And I realized once again that's what we are. We are simply waves of light that we as six-dimensional beings have coalesced into points of actual creation. And so the wave becomes a particle of manifestation, and that's what thought does. It takes the waves of light that we're emanating from our six-dimensional frequency, and then our attention collapses it into a actual particle of manifestation. So we're creating the whole shebang. And if we're disliking it and judging it, you're simply just liking and judging the self. It's all you, it's all me, just one of us. So it's very exciting where we're moving into. There was a video I saw the day that Du Shanxi turned me on to. It's from someone that I highly respect and know, Batista Stefano. And he was talking about how at this particular time, as we're moving into the new paradigm, that the creator beings we are, the creator beings we are, we're wanting to formulate a way for we as humans to make some new choices. And so it was somewhat decided from that other realm because we as human beings, what do we experience when we need to grow? Well, if we're in fear, then we want to take steps to come out of fear. And so if we're simply running around though, like ants, with nothing, we're not really reflecting on what we're doing, then everything looks and feels fine. And so there's nothing to really drive us to want to grow. But if we're in fear and we're also then in our own kind of restricted space where we have to kind of begin to contemplate who am I, what is life, is then an opportunity to grow, to make some choices. And so Matisse was saying the way this has been unfolding, if you can imagine, this is my earth, and this is where we as beings all exist upon. And if you can imagine, up here is the North Pole, and down here is the South Pole. So this is the crown, and this is the base. And this is what we call the actual pole, North Pole, South Pole. But there's also what we call the magnetic pole. And the magnetic pole has a tendency to migrate around the top of the planet, kind of like if you would see energy migrating around the top of your crown chakra. So it was in 2019 that magnetic north, which was here, began to migrate. And it might begin to migrate from the west, which is more of the thinking, the logical, the linear, and it is now migrated very far over into Siberia, which is in the east. And the east is then more of the feminine principle, the feeling principle. And in this migration, you see, this magnetic movement of the lines of energy, it then creates a new reality on the planet. And what it did as it began to move, it then began to take the crown and it began then to open the crown. And that opening of the crown is the corona. The word corona means crown. And so the coronavirus was an opening that was then allowing somewhat of a conspiracy from on high to then come into the planet, to begin to create fear within humanity, to begin to open our crown chakras, to ask, who am I? What is this all about? And so it's all been somewhat of a plan to get humanity to begin to move over into the more feeling feminine nature. I mean, what an amazing thing. It made total sense to me. And yes, there are co-conspirators you might see on the planet, pharma, money, power, but they're simply playing out what higher dimensional beings from a sixth dimensional place are wanting to put in place, which is the movement of consciousness. And so fear and worry and being sheltered and now inside thinking, who am I? What am I? It began to hopefully move humanity. And there was a lot of introspection, I suppose. I enjoyed tremendously this whole COVID experience. I got to be very deep inside, much more meditation. I felt a tremendous growth in my consciousness over this time. I wasn't out doing. I haven't been to a restaurant in 2 years. So it's been very deep and transformative for me. But for many individuals on the planet, as Corona began to abate, it was back to the old paradigm. I'm wanting, I'm needing, I'm desiring. How can I have more? I'm not really fulfilled inside. And so maybe it's relationship, or maybe it's a car, or maybe it's more prosperity. And so once again, humanity, rather than taking that reflection and moving en masse into this new paradigm, so many of them began to go back to the old. Choices, simply choices. But you can be well assured if we're making choices to be back in the old paradigm, that's where fear and pain and suffering and worry and concern comes from. You're being invited into a new paradigm. But we have to make the choices of consciousness to shift our consciousness. And that's the magic, the real magic of the star tetrahedron, because it is power, divine masculine. It is the sacredness of love, the divine feminine. And by simply learning to meditate and begin to imagine and to feel this geometry, the geometry of what we already are, and as we then begin to imagine it and feel it, it becomes a living, actual consciousness and a presence around us. We feel it, we experience it. We feel this opening within the heart, and we can feel ourselves breathing source spirit from inside out. When I began the star tetrahedron work in, I think it must have been 2018 when I was introduced to it, the star tetrahedron, it was, a very shadowy image. But now I sit down and it's like there's this magnetic flux of living light around and through me and within me. And the doorway opens and one can actually feel this living light coming up and out. And it hones and refines itself more and more every day. And I must say, I walk around in extreme joy and extreme happiness, extreme bliss. It's it's amazing. It's beautiful. I really never thought that I would reach this point of consciousness in my life. But that's where we are. You see, we're moving rapidly and dynamically into the new paradigm. And if we're making the choices to hone and refine ourselves, making the choices from the heart, not from the mind, not from what the world and society is wanting, saying, the shoulds, the woulds, but what could I be? What will I be? What will I imagine I am? And if I imagine I am and I see I am, I become I am. If I imagine I'm lonely, if I imagine I'm sad, if I imagine I don't have prosperity, this is the I am I become. We are creating the whole shebang, my friends. The only thing that's keeping us back from it is the emotion that comes up, which is simply a part of ourselves that says you're not really honoring and loving who you are. No judgment, nothing wrong in that. It's simply a deep part of you, the great soul you are, saying, I'm going to let you see some emotion. And if the emotion is worry or fear or grief or whatever it is, it doesn't matter the emotion. It's simply a signpost that I have not really been honoring and loving myself in some time before. Let me now feel into that and make sure I understand where and who I am. And now I make choices to love myself, to listen to my heart, and to use my mind to architect my joy. Sounds simple. In one way it is, but again, it just takes practice, practice, practice. So this is the star tetrahedron. So one of the things that we do, of course, in our work to understand that it's from inside out that we're summoning and calling source, that when the vortex within the heart chakra is open, literally it's the breath of life, the breath of spirit that ignites the star tetrahedron image into life. It's just like you. It's just like being born. The moment you're born and you breathe air, you have life. Well, it's the same with our creation. When we imagine it, when we focus the light upon it, and then we breathe light within it, spirit from inside out, it literally then has life. We become creator beings. So our breath work is the very deep, of course, in breath, breathing deeply within, the diaphragm going down. And as we're doing that, you see, we're literally then summoning source from inside out. We pause, and then with the gentle, simply letting go, the hum, the exhale, we're watching, feeling, sparkling, effervescent, golden liquid sunlight flowing all around us. Pause for a moment. Once again, inhale. Summoning from source, life, exhale, giving life. So let's do 5 minutes of so hum breath, and I will join with you with eyes open as I continually practice so hum breath throughout the day, driving, walking, gardening, enjoying. So let's do 5 minutes of so hum breath. And another deep breath. So the image of the star tetrahedron, divine power above, sacred love beneath, two triangulations of energy, and they are then brought together to be then counter-rotating triangulations in and through each other. And it's this counter-rotation that creates a vortex in the very middle of the heart chakra. And as it opens, then there is a doorway literally into what we call the void, but it's really the mind of God, the womb of creation, where all things exist. And the star tetrahedron, the geometry of the star tetrahedron, this light form of geometry, was manifested from out of the void to be the lens, the creation of that which is within the unmanifest to the manifest. And so as we hone and refine the star tetrahedron, open the doorway, and we're now looking back into where we originally emerged out of. I am God. I now see that which I am and make the choices of that which I would create through the geometry of the star tetrahedron, the light consciousness I am. I then holographically see, feel it. It then becomes living light spinning out from me. And now dimensional reality, the joy and the magic of creation. We created this world, and now we become co-creators in consciousness, full consciousness. So I'm going to take you through the assembly of the star tetrahedron. And of course, we know that it is in front and back and all around. Don't be too worried about the way it spins or how it spins, but simply know as you continue to imagine and feel and see, it takes on a life all of its own because it already exists. It already exists. We're simply in the apocalypse, the unveiling, the revealing of what we already are, these great dimensional beings that have come into the worlds of form. And now we're revealing what we are, the apocalypse. So let's go ahead and close the eyes and feel the body relaxing. And so we can truly acknowledge truth. I am the light. I am the geometry of creation. I am. The light was within the center point of the head, right behind the eyebrows. We imagine and feel the illumination of light. I am the light. What you imagine becomes real. I imagine the light in the mind. It becomes brilliant and focused. I allow it to settle down to the heart chakra at the sternum, and I illuminate what already exists, the star being I am, the star being I am, upper triangulation of divine power, and the lower triangulation of divine and sacred love in counter rotation. This opens a vortex, a sacred doorway in the heart chakra, right in the very center of your being, back in the realms of source, the void, and arising forth in the breath is the living spirit. I illuminate the sunlight I am. And as I breathe and see light, I create light within and all around me. I bring light to earth. I bring light to earth. Let us sit quiet together, and I will join you, and we'll all gather together in one great living star of creation. I am the light. Marvelous, my friends. Thank you very much. So, we are the creator beings that are going forth into the new paradigm with seeds of light and love and wisdom and grace. And as creators, very exciting. So, we look with enthusiasm, with joy to what is before us. We have no worries, we have no fears. We know the source is taking us on this magic carpet ride. And of course, we have Aladdin's lamp at our bidding. So, magic carpet ride, Aladdin's lamp. And all you do is turn it and it rubs you. So, this is being rubbed the right way. And Creator God, I am. Go forth, my friends, enjoy, have great prosperity and peace. And I hope you enjoy my pumpkin shirt. A little late, but nevertheless, once a year I get to wear the pumpkin shirt, and here I am. Love you, folks. Thank you very much. Pumpkin I am. Pumpkin.